The market on Galarian Prime was loud and full of aliens. Bright colors flashed from stalls and strange smells filled the air. Everyone was busy selling or buying. But in one corner, a small alien girl stood alone. Her name was Pia. She looked weak compared to the others. Her skin was pale blue, her ears long and soft. She wore an old brown dress that was torn at the bottom. Her tiny hands held small trinkets made of wood and stone. She held them out to passing aliens and said in a soft voice, "Please, they're lucky charms." Most ignored her. Some laughed. Few kicked dust at her, but Pia didn't cry. She kept standing there, her big eyes shining with silent hope. From behind a broken pillar, a human male watched her quietly. His boots were dirty, his face rough with small scars. No one paid attention to him. It was just how he liked it. His name was Corvin, though no one on this planet knew that. He'd come here for something else, something serious. But now, his eyes stayed on that little girl. Pia took a deep breath and walked toward a tall alien noble. This alien had dark silver skin, thick black armor, and a proud face. Her name was Vectra. "Please, noble lady, would you like a charm?" "For good health?" Pia said, holding out a small, carved stone. Vectra turned slowly. She looked down at Pia like she was dirt. "You think I would touch garbage like that?" she said loudly so others could hear. The crowd laughed. A group of younger aliens gathered to watch Vectra kicked one of the trinkets out of Pia's hand. It rolled into the dirt. "You're a joke," Vectra said, stepping forward. "You think you belong here with nobles and traders? You're nothing but a bug?" Pia bent down slowly to pick up the trinket, but Vectra slammed her foot near Pia's hand, making her freeze. The crowd roared with laughter again, but Corvin didn't laugh. His eyes locked onto Vectra. His fingers tightened inside his coat. The girl was just a child, maybe 10 years old, in human years. And yet no one helped her. Corvin's mind raced. This wasn't the first time he had seen such cruelty. He had traveled across many systems, seen many broken planets, but something about Pia, her silence, her strength felt different. He moved to a better spot, closer. But still hidden behind old machinery, Vectra grabbed one of Pia's charms and held it up. "Look at this," she said. "What even is this junk?" "It's for protection," Pia whispered. "Protection?" Vectra laughed again. "From what kindness?" She crushed the charm in her hand and let the pieces fall. Pia didn't scream. She only stared at the dust where the charm used to be. Corvin's heart burned. This wasn't his fight. But deep inside, something told him this girl needed someone, even if she didn't ask for it. Pia turned away, walking slowly back to her corner. Her head was down, but she didn't cry, not once. The crowd lost interest and walked away. Vectra looked pleased with herself, like she had done something important. She whispered to one of her guards, then strutted off with her nose in the air. Corvin waited. Once the area was quiet, he moved through the shadows. His boots made no sound. Crouched behind the crates near where Pia had sat, but she was fixing the broken pieces with careful hands. Her small fingers shook, but she still worked. Corvin reached into his coat and pulled out a tiny folded paper. Inside it was a warm bar of food, something soft, sweet, and fresh. He placed it silently behind a nearby box and backed away into darkness. Pia looked up. She had felt something. Her ears twitched. She stood slowly and peeked around. Her eyes widened when she saw the food. Her hands hovered over it, unsure. A small note was attached to it. "You are not alone." She held the note tightly, looking around. But she didn't see anyone. Far away, Corvin stood on top of a rusted roof, watching. The stars, his eyes stayed on her, and in that moment, Pia smiled for the first time all day. The next morning, the market was louder than usual. Fresh shipments had arrived, rare spices, crystals, and weapon parts from distant systems. But Pia stood at the same corner, her hands holding new charms she had stayed up all night to make. Her eyes were tired but calm. She had eaten something sweet last night, something soft. It gave her strength she didn't understand. Then she heard the boots. Vectra returned. This time she wasn't alone. 2 tall armored guards walked behind her. Their armor was dark green, with laser spears on their backs. They weren't just for show. They were real killers. Pia looked down. Hoping they would ignore her, they didn't. Well, look who's back, Vectra said loudly, walking straight toward the tiny girl. Still selling garbage? The guards chuckled behind her. Pia said nothing. She simply held out a charm shaped like a leaf. Her hands were steady, still trying, Vectra said, snatching the charm before Pia could stop her. Let's see what lie this one tells. She looked at it and frowned. There was a soft glow inside the stone. A flicker strange. This isn't. Local, one of the guards said. Vectra turned the charm over in her hand. Feels old, but weak. Pia opened her mouth to speak, but Vectra threw it to the ground before she could. The charm didn't shatter instead. It pulsed just once, a quick pulse of golden light. Pia's eyes widened. So did someone else's. Behind, the thick glass of a broken security booth, Corvin was watching. He had been waiting since dawn. He had hacked the station's old cameras, set up a sensor that tracked movement near Pia's location. He had prepared traps around the market's edge not to hurt, but to slow down those who chased. He had seen the charm pulse, and he knew exactly what it did. It was not magic, not luck. It was pre-war human tech enchant, nearly forgotten. How did Pia get her hands on that? Why did it respond to her? Corvin leaned forward and zoomed in. His eye implants clicked softly. Mind raced. If Vectra realized the truth, she would take Pia. Not just humiliate her, she would sell her to black market. Collectors, or worse, and that Corvin would not allow. Vectra didn't see the danger. She kicked the charm again, laughing louder. Try harder next time, you little rodent, she said. Pia dropped to her knees and carefully picked up the charm. Still glowed faintly in her hand. She held it close to her chest. Corvin typed into his portable pad. Signal was sent. Somewhere. A hidden drone activated and began tracking Vectra's guards. Pia stood up and turned away. But Vectra wasn't done. She grabbed Pia by the arm. You think someone helped you, little girl? She hissed. Someone left food for you? Froze. Vectra leaned closer. We'll find out who. And when we do, I'll make sure he watches you scream. Pia pulled her arm free and ran. The crowd watched. No one helped. No one stopped her, except one man. High above, who followed her through. Blinking screens and thermal maps. Corvin activated a switch. Hidden panels in the alleys began to hum. One of the guards chased Pia through the market, but the moment he stepped into a side street, the floor clicked. A small smoke pot exploded, blinding him. He fell backward, choking. Pia ran deeper into the maze of lower streets. Vectra cursed and ordered the other guard to follow. Corvin watched every move. He sent a quiet signal to Pia's path. A green light flashed near a wall. Pia saw it and turned, exactly as planned. Corvin smiled. Just a little. She was smart. She followed the path. He marked the second guard, lost her in seconds. Pia didn't even know someone was helping her again. She just felt it. Her heart pounded, but her steps were sure. Vectra stood at the market's edge, furious. Find her, she snapped. I want her brought to me alive. Corvin listened. Then he whispered into his cum. You'll regret that. Stepped away from the booth, coat flowing behind him. Time to meet the girl, face to face. The sun was fading on Galarian Prime, and the streets were turning cold. Shadows stretched long between the buildings. The glow of neon signs made the alleys look alive, but the lower zones were always silent when danger walked nearby. Pia sat behind a broken crate in a dark corner, her back pressed against a wall. Her breathing was fast, her knees pulled close to her chest. She clutched the charm tightly in her hand. The one Vectra had kicked twice was still glowing, very softly, like it was alive. She didn't know why it did that. She didn't know what it meant, but it made her feel safe. Her ears twitched when she heard something drop nearby. A soft metal sound. She looked around the corner quickly. A pouch had been placed near her feet. She hadn't seen anyone approach. She opened it. Inside was food, warm, fresh, real food. There was also a folded cloth, thick and warm. At the bottom, a tiny black chip rested under a message written in her language. Not from them. From me. Pia looked up. There was no one, but Corvan was there, watching from above, hidden between thick power pipes. His coat moved slightly with the breeze. His eyes stayed on her. He had been a ghost for years, but not tonight. Tonight, he had a reason to be seen. He looked down at the trinket in Pia's hand and whispered, "I know that design. That charm wasn't made by aliens. It was human pre-collapse tech-small tools used by scouts in ancient times, made to hold encrypted data, at power cores that responded to human DNA or compatible species." The glow proved Pia was connected. To it somehow, that was impossible, yet it had happened. Corvan reached into his bag and pulled out an old scanner, one that hadn't been used in a decade. He tuned the settings, aimed it at Pia. Clicked. It beeped, then stopped. A symbol flashed, human origin match detected. He stared. No way she couldn't be human, but she shared something with them. Maybe her bloodline, maybe her past, or maybe the charm chose her. He didn't know yet. But it meant one thing. She wasn't just some poor street girl anymore. She was valuable, and now it's very dangerous to the wrong people. Pia curled up with the warm cloth, placing the food next to her. "Eat yet." She held the charm close, whispering to it like a friend. She didn't see it as a tool. To her, it was the only thing that stayed with her through every hard day. She didn't even realize someone had been protecting her from the shadows. Corvan lowered his hood. The wind hit his face. He stared at her, and saw something more than fear. He saw strength. Quiet. Silent strength. She had faced a noble's wrath, been hunted through the streets, yet she didn't scream, didn't beg, didn't break. He had trained warriors who lost their minds over less. He tapped into his wristband and opened a private log name. Unknown species, mixed origin, possibly human hybrid age, juvenile note, glowing, artifact reaction, positive condition, hungry, cold, brave status, under my protection. He hit save and shut the screen. Then he whispered to himself, "You're not alone anymore." Suddenly, a soft sound came from the far alley. Corvan moved in an instant, dropping from the pipes without making a sound. He pressed his back to the wall and peeked. 3 thugs in dirty uniforms were moving through the shadows, not Vectras. Guards, these were bounty rats, the kind who hunted the weak for spare credits. One of them carried a tablet showing Pia's face. Someone had leaked her location. They were getting close. Corvan didn't wait. He stepped into the alley and spoke calmly. "She's under protection." The thugs stopped. One laughed. "Who said that?" Corvan raised his head. "Me." The 3 men charged without warning. They didn't land a single hit. Corvan moved like a machine, quiet. Fast. Controlled. In 5 seconds, all 3 were on the ground, groaning in pain. He didn't kill them, but he made sure they would forget Pia's name for a long time. He dragged them into the trash piles and wiped the blood from his hands. Pia never saw what happened, but when she woke up later that night, her charm was glowing brighter, and a new message was written on the inside of the cloth she had been given. "Tomorrow. Follow the red lights. I'll show you the truth." The next sunrise on Galarian Prime didn't bring warmth. It brought tension. Giant banners with Vectras crests now hung around the market. Her guards moved through the streets, holding up glowing bounty posters. They had one face on them, Pia's. "Dead. Or alive," the posters said, though the fine print whispered, "intact and unharmed, preferred by buyer." Vectra walked through the market like a queen, smiling with fake calm, but deep inside, she was furious. Someone had interfered. Someone had fought her men. Someone had helped the little girl escape, and worse, the charm had reacted. Now, Vectra wanted both the girl and the man. She didn't know his name, but she would soon. Pia woke in a quiet, hidden room under a collapsed tower. The walls were made of old metal and dust-covered glass. A strange red glow danced along the floor, coming from a string of tiny light dots placed in a line. She remembered the message on her blanket, "Follow the red lights," so she did. She moved carefully, still clutching the charm. The lights led her down a narrow hallway, then into a broken lift shaft. A small ladder had been placed there. She climbed slowly, unsure. Above her, Corvin watched from a vent, ready for anything. He didn't speak, not yet. Pia reached the top and pushed open a door. The room inside was filled with strange machines, half broken, but still humming. Maps of the city were marked with glowing red X's. Weapons were laid out on a table, and a black coat hung near the door. Pia stepped in and froze. She saw him, the human. He stood near the window, his face calm, his voice low. "I'm not here to hurt you." Pia took a step back. Corvin raised his hand slowly. "I've been watching to keep you safe, not to scare you." She looked at the charm in her hand, then at him. "Why?" He walked over to the table and picked up something. "An old charm. Exactly. Like hers. I made these," he said, "a long time ago. Before your people even came to this city." Blinked Tors. Corvan placed the charm beside hers. They both glowed the same golden color. "You're connected to something powerful," he said, "and they know it." "Who?" she asked quietly. "Vectra, and others worse than her." Pia lowered her eyes. "I didn't do anything."
"You
don't have to," Corvin said. "You just have to exist." She looked at him again. He didn't smile, but his voice had something calm, something honest. Then he turned to the maps. "She's called for a hunt. Soon, every street rat with a gun will be looking for you." "We can't wait here, we?" Pia asked. Corvin nodded. "I don't leave kids behind." At the same time, in the upper levels of the city, Vectra stood in front of a group of bounty hunters. All wore different armor, carried different weapons, but all had the same goal credits. "Bring me the girl," Vectra said coldly. "And the human, if you find him. Alive, if possible." One hunter stepped forward, a tall, insect-like alien with glowing red eyes. "What's so special about a girl?" Vectra handed him a cracked charm. It lit up in her hand. The room went silent. Even the hunters knew what that meant. Old human tech didn't just react. It chose back underground. Corvin packed weapons into a bag while Pia watched. He handed her a small device. "A beacon," he said. "If you get lost, press this. I'll find you." Pia held it tightly. Corvin checked his screen. Red dots were spreading through the city map. "Time's up," he said. He walked to the far wall and pressed a panel. The metal opened with a hiss, revealing a dark tunnel. "We move now," he said. Pia followed him step by step, her charm glowing brighter the deeper they went. Behind them, the door closed. A trap armed itself, and Corvin smiled for the first time. Let them come. The plan was simple: move through the tunnels, reach the safe zone, stay hidden. But simple plans break when pride and power hunt faster than fear. Pia and Corvan were almost there, just one checkpoint left.
Oh.
The final tunnel opened into a storage yard full of old starship parts and silent machines. It's a perfect place to hide, a perfect place to ambush, and someone knew they were coming. Above the yard, on a broken scaffold, two bounty hunters watched through heat scanners. Vectra had paid them extra to stay quiet. No glory, no noise, just capture the girl and disappear. When Corvan moved to check the path ahead, they struck. Pia was alone for only 30 seconds. That was all it took. A flash bomb hit the ground, bursting in white light. She screamed and covered her eyes. Before she could run, thick arms grabbed her from behind and lifted her off the floor. She kicked, she shouted, but the mask over her face silenced her voice. Then everything went dark. Corvin heard her scream by the time he returned. The only thing left was her dropped charm. Flickering weakly on the floor, he picked it up, his hand shaking not with fear, but with rising anger. His eyes scanned the ground, the heat traces, the broken tools. Then he whispered, "Big mistake." Woke inside a cold glass chamber. She was tied at the wrists, not with rope, but with glowing energy bands. She couldn't move. Outside the glass, Vectra stood smiling. "Now I see what you are," she said. "You're not just a beggar, Pia." Stayed silent, Vectra pressed a button. A soft pulse of energy passed through Pia's body, making her gasp. "The charm glows for you," Vectra said. "Ah! That means you're valuable. You'll bring me a fortune." "I'm not yours," Pia said through clenched teeth. "No," Vectra smiled, "but soon you'll be no one's." In the skies above the city, a stolen ship flew low and fast. Corvin sat inside, scanning the frequencies. He knew Vectra. She would want a place with control, high ground, and lots of watchers. He checked the city's tower grids. Only one place matched the old watch hall, now abandoned, but Vectra used it often for private meetings. He locked in the location. Then, he opened a case beside him. Inside were tools no one on this planet had seen before. He placed Pia's charm around his neck and whispered, "Just hold on." Vectra prepared the extraction unit. She planned to sell Pia to an off-world collector who paid big for rare DNA. But before the device could scan the girl's blood, the lights flickered, then went out. Vectra's guards pulled weapons, stepping forward, too late. One by one, their lights exploded from the shadows. Something moved, fast, silent, deadly. A guard screamed, then dropped. Another tried to run. He vanished through a wall of smoke. Vectra shouted, "Find him!" But they see, Tony was already behind her. Corvin appeared like a shadow, grabbing her wrist and twisting the controller from her hand. "You took the wrong girl," he growled. Vectra gasped and tried to strike, but Corvin caught her arm. Flipping her across the floor, she slammed into the wall with a loud crash. He turned to the chamber with one swift motion. He cut the energy bands and opened the glass. Pia fell forward into his arms. "You came," she whispered. "Always." He replied. Guards tried to regroup, but Corvin tapped his belt. A small drone flew in and dropped a stun burst across the hall, knocking everyone flat. Corvin looked down at Vectra, now coughing and crawling. "I warned you," he said. "But you mocked her, and you touched her like she didn't matter." Picked up her own stun baton and snapped it in half. "This city belongs to the forgotten, not the fake queens like you." He walked out with Pia in his arms. Behind them, the building shut down, locked by his code. Later, as the stars appeared above the city, Corvin sat with Pia under a quiet roof. Her charm glowed again, but this time, so did his. Pia leaned against him, her voice soft. "Am I different?" Corvin looked into her eyes. "You're stronger than they ever were." The city of Glarian Prime buzzed with rumors. Pia had vanished, then returned. But this time, she was no longer alone. Whispers spread through the streets. She escaped Vectra's hands. Someone helped her. Noah, human, helped her. That changed everything. Humans were rare, but legends about them were not. In a small shelter near the city edge, Pia sat beside a fire. Her wounds were healing, but her thoughts were restless. She stared at the charm glowing in her hands. It felt warmer than before, like it knew something she didn't. Across from her, Corvin cleaned a strange black blade. It shimmered when light touched it, humming quietly with old energy. Pia asked softly, "Why did you come for me?" Corvin looked up. "Because I've seen this story before. A child alone. A system built to crush the small. I didn't stop it last time, but this time I did." She watched him carefully. "You're not just a traveler," she said. "You knew where to go. You knew how to fight. Who are you?" Corvin was quiet for a moment. Then he stood. He opened a small case near his side. Inside was a folded black cloth with a red symbol. Pia blinked. "What's that?" He unfolded the cloth. The red symbol looked like a claw holding a star. "It's a patch," Corvin said, "from a war long forgotten." Pia looked at it again, then gasped. I saw that symbol once, in a book. They said it was worn by monsters. No, Corvin said calmly. It was worn by protectors, till the galaxy decided humans were too dangerous to remember, turned away from the fire. My name is Corvin Leth, former strike captain of the Human Death World Division. Unit 9. Pia stared in silence. She didn't fully understand what that meant, but she felt it. The way the night seemed quieter around him, the way machines listened when he touched them, the way Vectra's men fell like toys in his path. He wasn't just strong, he was built for war. Meanwhile, Vectra stood inside the council tower, her face wrapped in cold anger. Her bruises from the last fight hadn't faded, but her pride hurt more. The other nobles were speaking fast, some worried, others excited. You lost the girl. You lost to a human. What else are you hiding? Vectra raised her hand. Enough, she snapped. You think I'm the only one hiding something? She tossed a file on the table. A hologram lit up. Corvan's face appeared, younger. Dressed in black armor, surrounded by smoke and ash. He's not a simple guard, she said. He's a former human soldier. One of the old death squads. The council gasped. Those were wiped out. They vanished. They were erased. It smiled. Apparently, not all of them. She stepped forward, her voice calm and sharp. And he's protecting that girl for a reason. In the streets, news of Corvan's name spread faster than fire. Merchants whispered, guards grew nervous, and bounty hunters suddenly remembered. Other planets they needed to visit, but not everyone ran. Some came to watch, because when humans return, something always changes. Corvin stood on a balcony, Pia beside him. She looked down at the street far below. So many are watching, she said. They always watch, Corvin replied, but they never act. She turned toward him. What now? You don't hide anymore, he said. Let them see who you are. Let them hear the truth. That night, a broadcast interrupted every screen in the city. Pia stood in front of the camera. Her voice didn't shake. I was mocked. I was hunted. In fact, I was nothing to them. But someone saw me. Someone stood for me. Not because I'm strong, but because I was worth saving. Corvin stood behind her. His face was calm, but the symbol on his chest burned bright. Your rules failed me, Pia said. It's so now I choose a new one. Across the city, people stopped what they were doing. Even the council listened. Even Vectra froze. Pia took a breath. I don't know what I am, she said, but I know I matter. If that makes me dangerous, then so be it. Corvin stepped forward. This is your only warning, he said, staring into the camera. Touch her again, and I won't be the quiet man in the shadows. I'll be the storm at your gates. By morning, no one dared put Pia's name on a bounty list. Even Vectra stayed silent. Because now, everyone knew the girl wasn't alone anymore, and the man at her side was human. The sun rose slowly over Galarian Prime, but for once, the light felt different, quieter, heavier. It wasn't the same world anymore, because the forgotten girl was no longer hiding, and the human wasn't just watching now. He was standing beside. Her dot, the city's center, was silent. No merchants shouted, no guards marched, no bounty hunters hunted. Instead, crowds gathered near the council tower. Screens across buildings lit up, showing a single feed. Pia, the small alien girl once kicked and laughed at, was now standing on the Grand Council floor, a lone brave. Glowing, her charm pulsed like a heartbeat, and she spoke. I was born in a place no one cared about. My name was laughed at. My voice was ignored. It says I was weak because I was small, because I didn't come from power, because I had no protector. She paused, looking across the silent chamber. But I do now. The doors opened behind. Her heavy boots stepped forward. The crowd gasped. Corvin entered, dressed in his full armor, black, scarred, and marked with the red claw and star. The same symbol that once made galaxies tremble. The council members stood in fear. Vectra froze in her seat. But Pia didn't turn. She didn't need to. She knew he was there. Corvin raised his voice. You pushed her down. You tried to break her, but she didn't break. She rose. He took a step forward, and now she carries more than a charm. She carries proof that even your cruelest systems can be cracked. That even in a world made for giants, the smallest soul can rise. He placed something on the table in front of the council. It was a data shard old, marked with human code. The council leader stared at it. What is this? The truth, Corvin said. A map, a memory, and proof that Pia is not just some child. He looked at Pia, then back at the council. She is the direct descendant of the last human engineer who escaped the final war. Her blood carries access to the ancient vaults you've tried to find for years. The chamber erupted in shock. You lied, Vector shouted. You made this up to protect her. Corvin stepped forward. No, you mocked her because you were afraid she mattered. And now you're right to be afraid. Outside, the people listened in silence. Some began to cheer, others cried, because this wasn't just about Pia. This was about every voice that had. It's been silenced, every child kicked aside, every poor soul forgotten in the shadows. Pia looked at Vektra. She didn't shout. She didn't scream. She simply said, You tried to own me, but you never even saw me. Then she turned to the council. I don't want power, she said. I want change. She held up her charm. It glowed so bright that the chamber filled with golden light. A new voice came from the charm. An old recording. A human voice. If you are hearing this, it means one of my blood still lives. You were never alone. You were never lost. You were always meant to lead. The recording ended, and the room stayed silent. Later, on the city streets, people moved differently. Guards stepped aside when Pia walked past. Merchants offered food without payment. And those who once laughed now lowered their heads in respect that evening. Corvin stood at the edge of the city with Pia. The wind was cool. The stars were clear. You sure you want this? He asked. Pia looked out at the horizon. They need something to believe in. I won't be their queen, but maybe I can be their voice. Corvin smiled. You've already become more than that. He handed her a new charm crafted by his own hands. This one doesn't glow with old tech, he said. It glows when you're brave. Pia took it. It lit up in her palm. Across the galaxy, stories spread about a small alien girl who was once mocked and a human who refused to let her fall, and how together they changed a world, not with armies, not with weapons, but with something stronger, hope.